morning, sir. Welcome to Shangri-La.
I have a reservation.
On what name under, sir?
Christian Harbor.
Let me check it first, sir. Okay, sir. Your room number is 1428 on the first floor, sir, on the right side.
Sir, yes. This way, sir. This is your hotel room, sir. Here's your bathroom.
Thank you.
How the crime was discovered was a story in itself. A routine verification call from the American Express Card Company to cardholder Harper's residence in Oslo, Norway, led to the discovery.
Hello? Yes, I am Mrs. Harper. Oh, alright. I will contact my husband about his card transactions in the Philippines. Thank you. Should be on his way to the airport by now. He's not answering my phone calls. Should I call again? Maybe I should just contact the hotel director to check if the already checked. Hello, is this Makati Shangri-La? This is Ellen Harper. I am the wife of Mr. Christian Harper. I would like to know if my husband had already checked out to my hotel.
Alarcon and a security personnel went to room 1428 at 11:27 a.m. and were shocked to discover Harper's lifeless body on the bed. In his incident report, he concluded from the several empty bottles of wine in the trash can and number of cigarette butts in the toilet bowl that Harper and his visitor had drunk that much and smoked that many cigarettes that night before.
Mrs. Harper, we are sorry to say that Mr. Harper was found dead lifeless in his room.
You want some drinks?
Yes, sure.
The police investigation actually commenced only upon the arrival in the hotel of the team of SPOT Carmelito Mendoza. Mendoza subsequently viewed the CCTV tapes from which he found that Harper had entered his room at 12:14 a.m. of November 6, 1999 and had been followed into the room at 12:17 a.m. by a woman. That another person, a Caucasian male, had entered Harper's room at 2:48 a.m. That the woman had left the room at around 5:33 a.m. and the Caucasian male had came out at 5:46 a.m.
On November 10, 1999, SPO Romancito Ocampo Jr. interviewed Lumba about the incident in the Alexis Jewelry Shop.
Noong bang November 6, 1999, meron ka bang nakita na kahina-hinalang tao na bumili sa tindahan niyo?
Nung araw na yon, marami kami naging customers, pero merong isang particular na customer na dumating noon. Isa siyang foreigner, nung Caucasian siya, tapos ang height niya is 5'4". Dumating siya sa store namin, then tinignan niya yung mga tinitinda namin, and then nagtanong siya kung ano daw ba yung bagay na relo para sa babae. And then nagsuggest ako ng relo sa kanya, tapos sabi niya kukunin niya, at nung magbabayad na, inabot niya sa akin yung credit card, and then nung check ko yung na credit card niya, hinanapan ko siya ng valid ID para mapatunayan na siya yung may-ari ng credit card. And then, nung hinihingan ko na siya ng ID, parang nagiging balisa na siya, tapos inabot niya sa akin yung passport, tapos nung tingnan ko yung passport, hindi tugma yung picture niya, yung picture nung nasa passport at yung taong bumibili ng alahas. Tapos bigla na lang siyang umalis ng store namin na naiwan yung mga gamit.
Maaari ka bang kunin makita yung mga naiwanan ng gamit, katulad ng mga ATM at passport?
Ito po.
Pakilagay na dito. Ito ba yung sinasabi mo?
Oo, siya nga.
Senior Inspector Danilo Javier of the Criminal Investigation Division of Makati City Police reported in his progress report number 2 that during the police investigation, it was discovered that Harper's passport, credit card, laptop, and unknown money are missing from the crime scene. The follow-up investigation revealed that undefined Caucasian male had tried to buy a Lady Cartier watch from Glorieta Ayala Mall using Harper's credit card.
Good day, sir. Welcome to Alexis Jewelry Store. How may I help you?
Good morning. Can I see this stuff?
Yes, sir.
Can you suggest for a lady watch?
Sir, we have your bracelets and watches available for ladies, but I highly
I have your bracelets and watches available for ladies, but I highly recommended this watch.
Which one?
This, sir.
Oh, that's nice, huh?
Are you willing to purchase the watch?
Yes, of course. How much this?
It costs 120,000 pesos.
Okay, I'll buy it.
How will you finalize your purchase?
Via credit card?
Can I have your credit card, sir?
Yes, of course. Here.
Okay, sir, let me check. The card holder name says it's Christian Harper. Are you Christian Harper?
Yes.
Can I have your ID?
Here.
Are you sure, sir, that you're Mr. Christian Harper?
The FBI biology report and the toxology report contradict the defense claim of the celebratory gathering. The defendant surely may be valid, but it is more probable, given the circumstance, that the perpetrator entered Harper's room by knocking on the door, with Harper likely assuming it was a motel stop without suspecting criminal intent. The jury suggesting that the female visitor was waiting in Harper's room is more logical. If she was known to Harper, she would have entered the room with him instead of waiting separately. The 3 minutes interval between Harper's entry and the female visitor arrival contradict the idea of being acquainted. It is probable that the female visitor opened the door for the male visitor, indicating a coordinate effort between them.
No, it's fine. Have a seat.
Where can I put my bag?
Let me get your bag. You want some drinks?
Yes, sure.
Oh.
already is with Kandunga.
Hey, what are you doing?
What did you do? They got us. I just did you a favor. Help me to clean this mess. What can I do? You want drinks?
Yes.
Which one? will go first. I will handle the rest.
Similar to how premises liability is handled in certain United States jurisdiction, the hotel can be held liable if guests are injured while on the premises. The hotel liability increases significantly when a guest dies within the hotel premises, warranting careful consideration in enforcing the hotel keeper's responsibilities. On August 30, 2002, respondent commended his suit in RTC to recover various damage from the petitioner.
Please rise. Wherefore, finding the defendant hotel to be remiss in its duties and thus liable for the death of Christian Harper, this court orders the defendant to pay Clemens of the amount of $43,901,000 as and by way of actual and compensatory damages of $739,000 representing the expenses of transporting the remains of Harper to Oslo, Norway, $155,000 for attorney's fees, and to pay the cost of suit, so ordered.
On October 25, 2005, the RTC rendered judgment after trial.
Your Honor, the Exhibit Q shows the birth certificate of Jonathan Christopher Harper, son of Christian Frederick Harper and Ellen Johan Harper. The Exhibit Q1 is the marriage certificate of Ellen Johan Clausen and Christian Frederick Harper. The Exhibit R is the birth certificate of Christian Frederick Harper, son of Christopher Sean Harper and Eva Harper. And Exhibit R1, certificate from the Oslo Probate Court stating that Ellen Harper was married to the deceased Christian Frederick Harper and listed Ellen Harper and Jonathan Christopher Harper as the heirs of Christian Frederick Harper.
The rules of court outline the procedure for providing public documents stating that the copy attested by the custodian officer with an official seal are acceptable. When records are from overseas, they require certification from an authorized officer or a Philippine Foreign Service officer authenticated with their official seal. In a specific case involving document from Norway, they are authenticated by the Royal Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs with official seal and Taja Sortil signature confirmed by the consul at the Philippine Embassy in Stockholm. Section 24 and 25 of the Rule of Court detail the proof of official record and attestation requirement for evidentiary purpose. Despite deviation in specific attestation requirement for certain exhibit like Exhibit Q, Exhibit R, Exhibit Q1, and Exhibit R1 authenticated by Taja Sortil, they are deemed public documents in Norway are admissible as prima facie evidence under the Philippine law. Legitimacy of children as per Article 172 of the Family Code can be proven through various means permitted by the rule of court and special law, including the private and public document signed by the parents, baptismal certificate, judicial admission, and witness testimony. This method can be applied in the current base to establish filiation.
Wherefore, the assigned decision of the Regional Trial Court dated October 25, 2005 is hereby affirmed with modification. Accordingly, defendant appellant is ordered to pay plaintiffs appellees the amount of 52,078,702 as actual and compensatory damages of 25,000, as temporary damages 250,000, as attorney's fees, and to pay the cost of the suit. So ordered.
Court ruled in favor of the plaintiff based on negligence. Negligence as per Article 2176 of the Civil Code is the failure to do what a reasonable person would do or doing what a prudent person would not. Negligence is determined by whether the party took reasonable care in a given situation. The standard is based on the conduct of prudent person. The court uphold the findings of negligence against the petitioner as determined by both the RTC and the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal found that the petitioner failed to provide adequate security measure expected occupied the hotel, leading to Harper's death. The Guzman testimony highlight the efficient security practice as the hotel with a ratio of 1 guard for every 3 or 4 floor, which was deemed inadequate due to the hotel layout. Despite our recommendation to increase security, it was rejected because the hotel was not performing well financially at that time.
Your Honor, I just forgot one more point, please. Proceed. Mr. Witness, was there ever time that your recommendation to post a guard in every floor ever considered approved by the hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
When was this?
That was on December 1999 because of the centennial celebration when the hotel accepted so many guests and the rooms were fully booked. That's why I assigned the hallways should be guarded by 1 guard.
So at the time that you made your recommendation, the hotel was half-filled.
Maybe.
And even if the hotel is half-filled, your recommendation is that each floor should be maintained by 1 security guard per floor.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree with me that even if the hotel is half-filled, there is no need to increase the guards because there were only few customers?
I think so.
So you will agree with me that each floor should be maintained by 1 security guard if the rooms are filled up or occupied?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you even testified that from January 1999 to November 1999 thereof, only minor incidents were involved.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would be correct to say that the security at that time in February was adequate.
I believe so.
Even up to November, when the incident happened for the same reason, security was adequate.
Yes, before the incident.
Now, you testified on direct that the hotel posted 1 guard each floor,
Yes, ma'am.
and it was your own recommendation.
Yes, because we are expecting that the hotel will be filled up.
In fact, the hotel was fully booked.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The hotel industry is of interest and hotel keeper have a duty to provide lodging and security to the guests. This dual responsibility is fundamental to the business, growing from the civil code provision on hotel keepers' care for guests' personal effects. A similar or even higher standard of care should apply when it comes to guest lives and safety. Neglecting this duty would allow strangers unrestricted access to hotel room under the in disguise of being guest visitors with no accountability if harm befall the guest. The court finds no reversible error in the Court of Appeals decision.
Wherefore, the Court affirms the judgment of the Court of Appeals and orders petitioner to pay the cost of suits. So ordered.